What is up, guys? Dad Dash here, and I'm coming to you today with a video that's a follow-up to the video that I had put out in regards to the Uber terms of service slash DoorDash terms of service slash wanting you guys to be able to visually understand the relationship, and it's also in relationship to several other videos I put out, the relationship we have the DoorDash and gig apps. And one of the big things here that I wanted everybody to understand, and I highlighted it, and it's very highlighted very, very clearly in Uber. And I congratulate Uber, because Uber is actually showing on the back end, not the front end, the transparency to the driver that really truly reflects the nature of the relationship between driver and app, and showing you really how bad the driver is really getting fleeced. Or at least, the question is, to the drivers out there, do you believe what I'm about to show you? Do you believe the value of the services that these apps are giving you represent the amount of money that they're taking? So I have an order here right now that I'm going to show you. It's $11.21 payout. Upfront fare was shown to me as $11.16. So as you're going to see here, I drove 7.6 miles, spent 21 minutes on the order. Now again, I congratulate Uber. This is excellent that I can come back into an order and look at at everything. But you can do this too if you're on Uber Eats, or even if you're on Uber Rideshare. It's all the same, right? So I want you to remember the very important thing that you need to remember is when you read the terms of service of Uber, and then when you read DoorDash, any of them, right? We are giving them agency to collect money on our behalf. Now, what does that mean? When you give someone agency, you're meaning you're giving the app the ability to be you, okay? It's essentially like power of attorney. It's limited power of attorney. It's they're saying, I am Steve, Dad Dash, and we're acting on behalf of Dad Dash's business to pick up the money for the services that he's going to provide. We're going to hold it, and we're going to act as the broker for this deal. And then we're going to pass on that money to Dad Dash minus whatever fees we get for what we do. So what's represented here in this first page, it says paid to you. So this tells me a couple different things. We're going to add it up right here, right? We're going to go, okay, I was paid $2.81 in fare, okay, which is the money. That's my fare. That's what I was paid for the services I provided. That's the amount I received. And then the promotion, it was, they gave me a 35-cent promotion. So I was paid a total of $3.16. And then Uber collected, basically there was like 5 cents paid after the fact, but they collected then, and the customer chose to include through their system, and not a cash tip, $8.05 in gratuity. But I was technically paid $3.16. Now Uber is going to try to really make it look, when you look at this here, that the driver doesn't really get too worked up here, because they're going to be showing you your earnings, as you can see here, was $11.21. They don't break it down and say your tips or your this. Your earnings was $11.21. And then I always have opted the optional insurances. So you can buy additional insurances through Uber. And I take that on every trip just in case something happens to me. And that's there. So while I'm working for them. Now, here's the interesting part. This is the part, okay, that they want to really not highlight too much, right? The customer price right here. That's the amount the customer paid to you, to me, Dad Dash. That's what they think they're paying me. They're paying me $8.38. Now, Uber took possession of that money. In addition, the customer also left a tip, which is not meant to be the fare. It's not meant to compensate me for my labor or my expenses or anything. It's meant as a thank you, as an additional, hey, you did this for me, you did a good job, thank you so much. So the customer pays a total of $16.43 to the app, right? And so it looks like right here, and Uber does this, this is what you call, and again, I have experience here with high fees and high rates and things due to previous things, but this is what you call, when you put this in front of somebody, it causes the mind to not get alerted here, because they're like, the customer paid $16.43, Uber only got $5.36. Boy, that looks pretty fair to me. Okay, great. The driver got a majority of the pay, but they didn't, because that tip is not pay. That tip is gratuity. That tip is extra. That tip is optional. The pay was $8.38. And as laid out in that agreement, they took possession of that for me for that $8.38. Okay? So what I want to focus on here is the customer paid $8.38. All right? And Uber took, now this is the key part. Uber's fee for this transaction, we're going to divide the $3.16 by the $8.38, right? Hold on, actually, let's do it this way. We're going to take $5.36 and we're going to divide that by the $8.38. Uber took a 64% fee for their services. Now, I want to understand, okay, where in the world, in what business world, have you ever seen a service charge someone 64%? Okay? They charged me 64% of my money. They didn't charge the customer this, they charged me this. The customer paid $8.38, believing they were paying Uber Eats for the purposes, which they were not. They, as lays out, they're paying me directly. And Uber charged me, the driver, 64% of my fare for the purpose of essentially taking possession of the money from the customer, holding it, and then giving me access to their computer platform to be able to use for mapping, to be able to use their support services if I needed it, and then also then used their, I guess, camera in-app, whatever, allowed them to upload a picture to say, here it is, to which they then passed on the $3.16. So, guys, this is the egregiousness of what's going on here, and we're going to look at a couple of other ones. It's insane. So in this particular transaction, it was 64%. Let's look at another one. All right, guys. So in this particular example here, I want to show you I got paid. Now, again, in all appearances, if you looked at this, 17 minutes on delivery, 3.1 miles. My fare was $2.24. I got a promotion of 14 cents. My earnings were $13.38 because I got an $11 tip, right? By all accounts, it looks like, wow, what a great payout that was. $13, 17 minutes. That looks really good. Now let's go down here and look at what the customer paid. The customer, though, paid me $21.29 total, $11 of which represented my tip, to which I got the full tip because that's my gratuity. However, on the real side of things, not the tip, not the generosity, not the optional pay, the real price for my service that Uber negotiated on my behalf was $10.29, and which they then collected from the customer. And for the purpose of collecting, holding, and then passing on to me, I paid them 77%. I paid a 77% fee to Uber for their services they provided me on this order. Now look, you look at it and you say, wait a minute. Uber would say, wait, no, the driver, Uber made $7.96, and the driver in this case made $13.38. No, it looks, but that's not true because they're counting the tip. This is why I've made the case numerous times in numerous videos. The tip is a distraction. The tip should not be brought into account until the end. And what we need to be negotiating with these apps, this is insanity, that I'm paying 77% of my fare for purposes of using the app. If every driver was aware of this, and if we were presented with terms and said, okay, Uber, the real thing that should be happening right now is this amount that Uber is getting for purposes of transacting this transaction for me, that amount that I'm sharing should be negotiated prior to the transaction ever happening. And it should just be a flat amount, 20%, 30%, whatever it is that I feel is correct. And that should be in my contract. And then that's, $10, Uber should be getting $3 or $4. Again, are they risking their life, their vehicle, their assets? No, they are not. This is the core of the argument. This is why you drivers out there have to stop believing that tip or no tip is the answer, because yes, tips are important, right? Because we need it to enhance. But if you look at this here, Uber took over 50% of the fare, the true money paid out in this instance. Let's look at one more. We'll look at one more and then I'll call the video. Hold on one second. All right, guys, so let's take a look at this one. So in this one is a rather large payment that I got. This was a big order. This was a big payout, $30.13. Estimate for the trip when they offered to me was $24.04. Looks really good, right? I'm like, I made $30 on this offer. So it's like, Dad Dash, what could you possibly complain? Well, let's look deeper into this transaction. So this was a stacked order. Uber was paid a total on my behalf, or Dad Dash was paid a total of $53.27, which is like, wow, that's a lot of money. That was really, really good order, right? That should have been order of the night category, right? No. Because here's what happens, right? Here's what happens to the money. Now, of that, there was tip in there, $7.02 and $14.09. So about $21.11 of tip represented out of that $53. $32.16 fare was paid to me and was held by Uber and transacted. And then Uber took a $23.36 fee out of my $32.16. Okay, so $32.16. So let's see what that percentage was, right? Divided by 32.16. Uber took a 73% fee. Okay. Now I'm the one that drove the 15.9 miles, risked my vehicle, put those miles on my car. And here's the thing. The customer believed they were paying me to do that. That they were paying me $53.27 between those two customers. That's what they believed. That's what they were shown. That's what their ticket showed. That they paid Dad Dash respectively $13.82 and another customer paid $18.34. Total of $32.16 was paid to me in base pay. And then they were nice enough to leave tips of $7 and $14 on these orders. And what they were not told was Uber was going to be taking a huge percentage of that and knocking that down and retaining it for the simple benefit of providing the driver with access to the computer terminal and holding the money and transacting the money. These fees would be illegal in any other business world. But because government organizers and political people do not understand how to look at these orders and payouts, and because DoorDash doesn't even show it, on DoorDash, this would probably be in the 90% to 95% range on every single order that DoorDash transacts, because DoorDash keeps an insane amount of money, and in fact is trending towards keeping almost 100% of the money it's collecting on the driver's behalf and is charging the driver for use of their system. They're keeping almost 100% and charging an almost 100% fee, and that's what they're trending towards. Now, there are some cases that they will let it go, but the reality is this is a fee that should be already pre-negotiated as part of our contract, and since their position in this transaction is as a middleman. Imagine if credit card companies, if credit card, because that's exactly what they kind of are positioned. Like when you go to a store and you swipe your credit card, there's a person in the middle that's taking the money from the merchant and from your bank, and then they're taking it through and giving it to the merchant's bank, and there's a fee that's paid in the middle there. That's what DoorDash is essentially acting as right now. And they provide the terminal, they provide the computer software. Do you think a credit card company would be okay Would their transaction person, would they use them if they were charging them 73% of the purchase? No way. And neither would we if we were told this in a clear way. And if we were allowed to negotiate this, if this were a regulated cost where it was given and highlighted, and it was shown to us and said, okay, here's this order. We, Uber, are going to take 73%. Accept or decline? Nope, not at 73%. All right. Would you take 60%? Decline? 30%? No way. The market would take care of this problem, because what really should be being demonstrated to the driver is this is the fare that's being shown, that's being paid, that we've negotiated on your behalf, and we're going to take 70% of it. So you're going to be left with 30% of it. If they showed us at that's true transparency, there would be a revolt. Anyways, guys, this has gotten a little long, but I wanted to show you this. Watch this video, spread this video around, share this, because this is the only app right now that I see that is clearly showing everything. Hats off to Uber, but Uber's doing that because they know they need to, because they know when this eventually becomes, when enough awareness is brought to this, they don't want to be the app that says, hey, not only were we price gouging the shit out of drivers, but we were also hiding it and coercing drivers to take these deals without all the information. And because we don't see this up front, we still are being coerced because we're not being shown the full deal. But this is the stuff we need to see up front with enough time to look at it and say, and all the calculations, we need the equivalent of a Truth in Lending Act to be enacted for gig work contracts that requires all of the fees, all of the things, all of the stuff that's going into an offer to make when it's made to a driver. If we're going to have this type of a market situation, if we're going to allow businesses to operate and transact in this very quick economy that is allowing these contracts to be agreed to and transacted and fulfilled in rapid real time, we have to have some sort of a way to ensure that these contracts are being shown clearly and succinctly in order for us to know that these contracts are truly and legally binding and being binded to. Because I think we have tremendous potential here to go after a due process claim here on whether or not we have been shown and whether or not the information is being shown in a way that is going to allow the contractor or the business that's agreeing to these contracts, is the way they're showing these and presenting them to drivers, is this preventing the driver from being able to make a real decision? And is that in fact damaging the driver because of the fact that they're agreeing to give over money that is actually being collected on the driver's behalf, and they're essentially being coerced into giving up a larger share of the money that they should be collecting by signing these agreements and not even realizing what they're signing, and then the app playing all sorts of mind games with the driver. Anyways, guys, look, get this video around, share this with people, understand what you're agreeing to, understand what you're working to. I mean, obviously, I'm still out here doing gig work, and I'm doing it, but I'm also going to say I'm going to try to get as much money out of these apps as I possibly can. I'm not going to sit by and let them extract money. I'm not going to sit by and say, all right, I'm just going to work for tips, because no way. There's a lot of money on the table. There's a lot of money behind the scenes, and there's a lot of money that's being transacted. And I do believe there is a way to transparently operate this, and the apps can make money. The drivers can make money. We can all make money. No one's going to get rich, but we're going to make enough money that we can come out and do this. And obviously, I think there's really few and far between who should be doing this as the primary sole way to make your money. There are lots of different hybrid ways you can do it. And, you know, the way I do it with my family is completely a hybrid way. And without doing it the way I'm doing it, I wouldn't be able to do it. It just would not be feasible and responsible financially to be involved. But I am, and I'm here, and I'm going to keep highlighting this stuff, and we're going to keep trying to get it right, because I think it's something that will not go away. And we have to continue to direct these conversations for those who take the time to learn and understand this, and we have to educate, and we have to demand more from these apps and make them hand it over for right now, and then have the right conversations. Talk to your representatives. Let them understand what these apps are doing, that they are acting on our behalf. They're having us agree to these contracts. They're blocking us out without being able to fairly negotiate, that there's truly no true fair marketplace for us to work in, and there's no regulation that needs to be regulated. We don't need to be employees. What we need is we need people to come in and understand these contracts, understand how they're being presented, understand what they're doing, look at the real deal, that everyone from Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, every single one of these places is doing the exact same thing, and they are stealing, and truly are stealing, millions of dollars from the driver. And the way they're doing it is, it's not like they're stealing, like going to the store. What they're doing is the drivers are agreeing, believing that not even understanding that they're giving away their money to these apps. And the apps are using the driver to collect money from customers on their behalf, presenting it to the customers if they're collecting it on behalf of the driver, and acting as if, well, the driver's agreed to pay me a 77% fee for doing this, and then in exchange, I hand them 33% of what they should have got or could have got, and then, of course, what this customer is nice enough to leave also a $10 tip. And then they present it in a way that says, look, we got $7, you got $13. Hey, you got more money than we got. No, you didn't. Because that tip should never have even been factored into that. Anyways, guys, I'm rambling, I know, but this is a big deal. And hopefully you guys made it at least through some of this. Anyways, if not all the way to the end. If you did, thank you. Anyways, guys, as always, stay safe, stay profitable, and I'll talk to you soon.